You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast and check us out online at beardedtheologians.com. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Matt Franks.
Zach Bechtold.
Zach, this week we'd like to talk about how you can make friendships meaningful. And so, Zach, as you reflect on that, like, what are some things that come to mind?
So, for all of our listeners out there and people that are familiar with us, you all know how this started. I mean, this podcast, Bearded Theologians, it started with social media, with Facebook, with a trip to the Philippines. Matt and I got the honor and the privilege to go and be a part of the United Methodist World event there and the Global Convocation a couple years ago. And we began to interact over Facebook, but something that we saw and found was a friendship, this relationship that we began to form over social media that really came to a head when we met face to face, year and a half, 2 years later, and has grown into all of this. But the whole basis of all of this was to show that you can use social media, that you can use various medias to build meaningful relationships, to build meaningful friendships, and how important and life-giving that is for each and every one of us. I think as people, we need those relationships. We have to have them. But in today's culture and society, they really are hard to build because of social media, because of life, and it's busy, and we seem to be, as people, even more busy than we have been in the last 20 years. But we're here today to talk about how it's possible and how meaningful that it is. And in the last, we've known each other 4 years now?
4 years.
4 years. This has grown from just conversations on Facebook about what we're to accomplish in the Philippines to a podcast, to family vacations, and which has been really life-giving to my family, to have somebody in this world that knows exactly what we're going through as a family, as a clergy couple, as pastors' kids, to be able to connect in that way and set all of that aside and come together and go to Oklahoma City for a vacation, to go to Dallas for a vacation, and just get away and have those meaningful relationships individually and as a family, I think is pretty cool. So Matt, when you think about friendships and meaningful friendships, what comes to mind for you?
I think a sense of accountability. The greatest thing I love about this podcast that we do, it holds us accountable, not only spiritually in the sense of making sure that we're in the right place to be able to talk about the topics that we talk about, but also in a sense of mental health. Over a year ago, in the loss of my mother, having this was probably one of the greatest graces that I could have to help me. Not necessarily, I didn't ever break down and process, on the podcast, but it gave me a sense of belonging that I needed when I felt like something was gone. And, the sense of accountability in a good relationship is strong. And I know that I can, speak truth to you and you can speak truth to me. And we know that we're doing it in love to make each other better in our lives and our ministries. And it's been amazing to see how this relationship kind of just literally started out of nowhere and has taken off in places that have been exciting and fun. And, it's been real meaningful for me because I know that I have someone there that understands where I'm at, but also isn't going to be afraid to say something that I need to hear. And I think that, to me, to have a meaningful relationship, you need to have a sense of accountability. And I think you also need to have a sense of support and care for one another.
And I think you're right. I think a lot of times through the podcast, we do agree on a lot of things. We're on the same page on a lot of things, but there are things we disagree on too. And those conversations are just as meaningful or more meaningful than the ones that we do agree on, because I think they push us, to be better theologians, to be better pastors, to be better people. And I think when I think of meaningful friendships, that accountability, that push to get better each and every day at what we do as pastors, as fathers, as people, is super important and super fruitful. Anything else you have to add?
No, I would just encourage people to seek them and to hopefully that that they would have them in a way that would help you grow, not only as a person but as a person of God. And so, meaningful relationships do take work, and they take that sort of stuff. And so that's the other side of it too, is that this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It does take a lot of work and sacrifice in some ways, sometimes more by our spouses than ourselves, but that's for another time. And so we hope that you seek meaningful relationships, because they do give you life, and so. They do.
And don't be afraid. We always like to end with a question and kind of a call to action. Don't be afraid to use whatever tools are at hand to create those meaningful relationships. Maybe it's sitting in a coffee shop. Maybe it's sitting in front of a computer screen. I don't know, like not halfway across the country, but a couple of states away, building these meaningful relationships. Make sure, if they're life-giving in so many ways. And so be intentional about building those. So that's our push for you this week. The relationships that you have, build on them. Be intentional about that. They take work. So put the work in. We'd love for you to share this with us. As always, you can check out all of our blog content at beardedtheologians.com. You can buy mugs and shirts and things. There's a link there to our Zazzle store. But as always, thank you for supporting us. Everything that we do is for you, and creating the space to build those meaningful relationships. So for the Bearded Theologians, I'm Zach Bechtold.
And I'm Matt Franks.
Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. We hope you've enjoyed listening, and we hope that you share our content online through Facebook and social media. And we hope that you check out our Beardcast store at beardedtheologians.com and pick up some great Bearded Theologians gear. We hope you have a good day.